Iran, the Shiite nation that China chose as its pivot to its Middle Eastern policy, is fast losing its sheen. With radical Ebrahim Raisi at the helm of the affairs, Iran is now at a greater risk to be sanctioned by the West that can greatly jeopardize Beijing's interests in the whole region. Iran is a lost cause, and Beijing, which once actively supported it despite fears of antagonizing Arabs, is increasingly finding itself shifting away from the Shiite nation. So China is now resorting to plead Arabs for saving its interests in the region. China's debacle in Iran has now provided the Arab nations a stick to beat Chinese President Xi Jinping with, whose fate now lies in the hands of none other than Mohammed bin Salman. Saudi Arabia, the undisputed leader of the Islamic world, already has an axe to grind with China, given its long-standing proximity to Iran and Turkey. Now, MBS won't squander this opportunity to beat the living daylights out of Xi Jinping. Hi and welcome. This is TFI Global, the foreign affairs and geopolitical analysis arm of the TFI Media Group. I'm your host Atul Mishra, and in this video, I will tell you how China is now putting in a long shift to mend its ties with Saudi Arabia as its Iranian bet went bust after radical leader Ebrahim Raisi assumed power in Iran. Let's begin. Iran and Saudi Arabia, the two West Asian countries, have been embroiled in a fierce geopolitical conflict since the Iranian Revolution in 1978. The conflict between the two nations has engulfed the entire region. It has paved the way for world powers to exploit the vulnerabilities of the region and fulfill their own interests. China, for instance, also involved itself in the region's geopolitics and engaged with both sides of the spectrum in order to establish itself as a neutral and non-aligning power. China forged close economic ties with both oil-rich nations to secure and stabilize its supply chains and expand its influence over the region. In 2012, China imported around 22% of Iran's total oil production, while it also strived to build strategic ties with Saudi Arabia. It could only be attributed to China's astute diplomatic efforts and immense political influence that both Iran and Saudi Arabia have subscribed to Chinese President Xi Jinping's highly ambitious Belt and Road Initiative project. However, it was only a few months back that China chose to put all its eggs in one basket by blatantly committing to strengthen the Iranian economy, and even went on to conclude a 25-year, $400 billion deal to ramp up energy and transport infrastructure across the country. Not just that, China also brazenly extended its support to the Hamas terror group in its 11-day war against Israel for the first time. Hamas is an Iranian-backed terror group upon which the theocratic regime wields immense influence. But China's Iranian bet spectacularly failed. China thought of exploiting Iran's abundant natural resources as soon as Joe Biden assumed power. Biden had increasingly voiced his support to re-engage Iran for bringing it back in the JCPOA after Iran's presidential elections. China aspired of usurping the untapped resources and opportunities in Iran once it gets freed of the stringent economic sanctions imposed by the US. However, then came the coronation of a more radical Ebrahim Raisi in Iran that squashed China's dreams of conquering the Shiite nation in the most brutal way possible. With the Raisi in power, forget any scope of the US lifting sanctions on Iran. In fact, with bilateral relations between the US and Iran deteriorating even further, one can expect more American sanctions getting imposed on the Shiite nation, which will jeopardize Chinese interests in the country. Resultantly, China is now scrambling to mend its ties with the Arab world as the communist nation now views it as a failsafe to its Middle Eastern policy. On 19th of this month, Chinese President Xi Jinping called for more cooperation between China and the Arab countries to promote the Belt and Road Initiative. The traditional friendship between the people of China and Arab states has become stronger over time, President Xi said in the letter. He added, China is ready to work with Arab states to seek cooperation and development, promote peaceful development, achieve mutual benefit and win-win results, jointly build the Belted Road with high quality, elevate China-Arab strategic partnership to a higher level, and jointly build a China-Arab community with a shared future for the new era. The message from China is clear. It is rushing to realign its policies in the region with an aim to prioritize the Arab states over Iran. China has also realized that it cannot further its geopolitical interests in the region while being at odds with the Israeli-Arab coalition. For instance, Saudi Arabia inflicted a $10 billion dent on China's Belt and Road Initiative in Pakistan earlier this year. Saudi Arabia had decided to shift a proposed $10 billion oil refinery to Karachi from Gwadar, the center stage of the China-Pakistan economic corridor. The move by Mohammed bin Salman had dealt a massive blow to Jinping's ambitions to develop Gwadar as a mega investment hub in the Arabian Sea. It was believed that China's proximity to Saudi's staunch adversaries, Iran and Turkey, had made the Arabs jittery, resulting in a radical shift in Saudi Arabia's attitude towards China. Saudi Arabia is the undisputed leader of the Arab world and wields massive influence over the Organization of Islamic Cooperation. Given the fact that Saudi Arabia, the UAE and Egypt are China's top investment destinations under its highly ambitious BRI project, China is rushing to mend its ties with the Arab nations. Till now, China was being patient about the Iran nuclear deal and its own relationship with the Shiite nation. China was ready to play the waiting game for Iran. However, the continuing uncertainty around the JCPOA has now frustrated the Chinese, due to which Beijing's patience might be running thin, and it is now working hurriedly to win back the confidence of the Arab states.